Okay, talking processors here. This is an i7 core unlocked processor. It's an i7 67K. The other processor is an i7 like 600. I'm not sure what the numbers mean, but somehow I think a 600 isn't going to perform like a 67K. This processor does not come with a heatsink. Some come with heatsinks, some don't. I'm not surprised this one does not come with a heatsink, primarily because any heatsink they're going to send with it is just going to be a paperweight for most people. They are not adequate. The heat sinks that they would send with it just are not adequate. Intel knows this. They decided to lower the price of the processor and just lower the price of the processor because everyone's going to throw away the heat sink they send with it anyhow. So why bother to send it? Now let's talk about processor pricing. If you go with the current generation, the brand new one, you're going to pay a lot of money for it because right when they come out, they are an introductory price. And part suppliers go and snap them all up at that low price and then stick $100 on top of that and sell them for that until supply catches up with demand. Because they know computer enthusiasts want that processor and will pay extra for it to get it right now. Same thing happens when an Xbox comes out, a PlayStation comes out, a Nintendo comes out. Same thing happens when all these things come out. If they can get supply to not equal demand, they can jack the price up. So if you wait 2 or 3 months, that kind of drops back off again, and that's where I am with this. Suggested retail price on this thing's $350. I got it for $300. Where did I get my parts from? Good question. There's some websites that I've used numerous times. Newegg comes to mind. I actually got all these off Amazon because Amazon was under Newegg's prices on average $20 per item. $20 per item. $300. This was $325 on Newegg. Okay. Motherboard was $190 on Amazon. It was $220 something on Newegg. That surprised me because usually Newegg was under Amazon's price. This time it went the other way around. Okay. So when you open a processor box, you're not going to find much. It's going to be underwhelming. You're going to be like, I paid how much money for that? Because it's just a processor, okay? And when I open this, I don't want to tear this box up, so I'm trying not to tear it up, and it's trying to resist me and not open the way I want it to. Isn't that how this works? When you're trying to be nice to something? There we go. When you open it, what you get is a data sheet with a nice little hologrammy label on it that says, so you know it's real, okay? The data sheet is closed. There should be an install guide in here. But if you build a few computers, you don't even read these things half the time. I read the motherboard. I will read the processor installation instructions because the socket on this one's a little strange. Okay? But the one that comes with the processor isn't always the one you should read. You should read the one that comes with the motherboard. And then there's a little table on here that talks about material data sheet. Is it poisonous materials that are your processors made out of? Well, you know what? I know not to eat it, so I'm pretty sure it's going to be okay. As long as you don't eat it. And then there's a limited warranty. And then it starts talking in different languages. So this is almost worthless. The processor itself is in its own little sleevey. I'm going to hold it up to the camera. It looks like the camera's not auto-focusing today very well. There it goes. Okay. There's one side of the processor. There's the back side. All these are little pins that the processor... That's actually not pins. Intel went away from pins. They're just little nubbies. Okay. AMD still has the pins. All those pins are how the processor communicates with the motherboard. Okay? Every single one of those. I'm not going to open that until I'm ready to install the processor. So it's going back in the box the way it is right now. Not much to say about the processor other than what it is. Okay? Unclocked means that the processor unlocked means the processor clock is not locked to a specific frequency. It's rated at 4 gigahertz. It can go higher. You do the overclocking on the motherboard. The motherboard has a whole bunch of settings in it. You can set the voltage for the processor. You can fiddle the voltage for the processor. You can fiddle other inputs here and there to overclock it. I've done it before, but it's been a long time, and I haven't seen the need of it. You know, I don't know if I really need to raise the processor 20%. You know, going to 5 gig is a 20% increase. Well, that's 20% faster, so maybe yes. But raising it to 4.5 gigahertz is a 10% increase, a little over 10%. What's that mean to me in the long run? Well, it shortens the lifespan of the processor a little bit. Maybe not much if you got it cooled correctly. But I don't know. It just worries me a little bit because I've heard people have overclocked processors and they die. But that's in the past. This is now. This is 8-10 years later. Things have changed a lot since then. Well, anyhow, there isn't much more to say about this processor until I get it in a motherboard and get a cooling solution for it. So there's the little video on the processor. It's little because, well, there's not much here to show. Okay? So we're done with that one for right now. And I'll come back with the next component.